Whoa! The new iPhone. It's empty? What's up YouTube? Jeremy Weiss back with you again. Today I'm going to be comparing the iPhone 16 Pro to the iPhone 15 Pro. We're going to put them to the test, compare the cameras, compare the battery life, and we'll compare some of the new features that the 16 has that the 15 does not have. So before we begin, let's start with a full unboxing of the iPhone 16. Alright, let's dive into this unboxing here. Apple always does such a great job with their packaging. Love a good unboxing experience. This phone looks super clean. I love the desert tan color I got here. Let's peel this off. I'm gonna go ahead and go through the setup process here, and I'll skip ahead in a minute till it's complete. But real quick, I just want to touch on the experience. We love the cord. Apple's shipping the new nylon cables that they make, which are astronomically better than the rubber. Love that. Overall, first impression, it feels really good. It feels a little bit thinner, noticeably a little bit lighter maybe, and the screen actually feels a little bit stickier. I haven't seen anyone talk about that, but Apple talked about how they made the screen have a layer that's some kind of film, makes it about 50% stronger, but overall it feels really clean. The bezels are super thin. The screen's obviously bigger. This camera control button looks awesome. And yeah, first impression, this phone, it's a beautiful phone. I'm really excited for it. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. I'll jump ahead here. Now that we're done with the setup, I'm gonna look at the camera a little bit. Got my camera settings restored here. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about the camera control button later in this video. It seems to work really well. Yeah, you just press, you can give it a full click to take a photo or start a video, and then there's haptic feedback to do a half click or a double half click to open the settings menu. And the slide feature, everything works really good. But like I said, we'll talk more about this button later in the video, as I have spent some time playing with this phone, recording videos with it, and I'm definitely impressed. The design feels great. But let's move on with this review. Now that we've gone through the unboxing, we can talk a little bit more about what exactly is different between these phones. So the first change on the 16 Pro is there's a little bit of a design change actually. I'll put them side by side here and compare, but the 16 Pro is actually a little bit bigger than the 15 Pro. And let's see if we can get it to focus. Now let's talk about the feel of the phone. Putting both phones in my hand, to be honest, I actually prefer, personally, the feel of the iPhone 15 Pro over the 16 Pro. And yes, these are both Pro Maxes, so they are a little bit bigger, but that being said, the new one is it's just enough bigger to where I find it aggravating, and I actually find the 15 Pro Max rather, much more comfortable in my hand, whereas the 16 Pro Max, I don't know if it's the sharper edges or the thinner aspect to it, but I actually find it a lot more aggravating in my hand. And it's subtle. It's not like, it's a beautiful phone. Don't get me wrong, it's beautiful, but I might actually give this to my wife because I think it's that big of a difference for me. The second thing I want to talk about is this button right here. Did it take? Oh, I'm recording a video. But yeah, no, this button's legit. You press it twice, get to different settings here. I have a very mixed review about this button. For one thing, its location is very interesting. Ergonomically, it's okay, but to be honest, I find that when I'm trying to take a photo on the Pro Max, at least, this ridge is so long, and I have pretty big hands. You actually are kind of reaching up the phone, and it's not as ergonomic as it seems. You know, you kind of have to put your hand in front of the phone in order to get a decent grasp, and then you're blocking part of the screen. So it actually seems to me that the button should be more toward this corner, which may be an unpopular opinion, but I think it's too far toward the middle to where it's actually impeding your reach. And again, maybe that's just the problem on the bigger phone, maybe other people feel differently, but that's my personal opinion about the placement. And yeah, I mean, in order to slide on it and use it as it's designed, you have to be able to reach it easily. So that is my first complaint. Second to that, phone mounts. If you're putting your iPhone in a cage or on a phone mount to mount on a tripod or in a ring light or whatever you may be doing in order to record videos, most of them block this button, in which case it's only going to be beneficial if you're actually physically holding the phone. I think for the first time ever, this super awesome feature that Apple's released this year is actually going to be more functional for people with the regular iPhone 16, because I think most people who are buying the iPhone 16 Pro for actual cinematography or photography may be using other equipment to mount their phone in, and yeah, they may just not be able to use the button, reach the button as much as we'd like. So for that reason, iPhone 15, you actually get a point. I want to compare the battery life as well. Obviously, I have a 1-year-old 15 Pro. I can't make that comparison in a fair manner unless I were to replace the battery or have a brand new 15 Pro. I think it's fair to say, without too much in depth, that the 16 Pro is going to win on the battery life. It's got a faster and higher processing chip. Now, it may not be much, it may not be 20%, but I do think we're going to give the 16 Pro the win on the battery life. Needless to say, the 15 Pro has incredible battery life, especially the Pro Max. There's no complaint there for me. If you're really looking to maximize the Apple Intelligence features, the 16 Pro was allegedly built from the ground up for Apple Intelligence. I have to look into Apple Intelligence more to give an in-depth review of that. If that's a video you guys would be interested in, let me know in the comments. But for now, we're going to give the 16 Pro a point for being better suited for Apple Intelligence. I'm not going to go super in depth as to why that's the case. I can do that in another video if we'd like, but truth be told, the faster chip, obviously there's some aspects in this phone Apple has designed for the newer software via Apple Intelligence. So right now it's 2-2. I think ultimately the deciding factor for how this phone is going to compare to the 15 Pro is it's going to come down to the camera. So I took this video while walking around town with my wife, and honestly, side by side, these phones, I think I like the look of the 15 a little bit better, and these are identical settings, so I'm not sure if the iPhone 15 Pro just exposed itself better, but personally I like the look a little bit better on the 15, but both cameras are great. This image was taken by each phone, recording the opposite phone. This is with inside light, and again, I think that it's pretty close in comparison. There's one aspect of this phone that absolutely blows the 15 Pro Max out of the water. And yes, as you may know, it is slow motion. The 15 Pro Max shoots 4K 60 frames per second, and the 16 Pro Max shoots 4K in 120 frames per second. Now, at first I was a little bit skeptical because I was wondering whether or not this is going to be a really good quality 4K 120. A lot of times you try to slow that footage down to 25% and you're still getting a little bit of lag between frames. But this is not the case. I was wrong. Apple nailed it. This 4K 120 is beautiful. And yes, you have to experiment with your settings a little bit, get things dialed in to maximize it, but it's there. This allows for an immense, a ton of possibilities as far as just creating new cinematic footage. So that alone is a reason to buy the iPhone 16 if you're going to use the 4K 120. Now, whether or not these upgrades are worth the price difference,